Hello and welcome to Live Interactive English. I'm Matt.
And I'm Kiki.
So Kiki, I know that you are from Singapore, and I also know that Singapore is known for a lot of very special foods and very delicious foods. So what are some of your favorite Singapore foods?
Wow, there's a lot to choose from, but I must say the thing that I crave the most is a nice traditional Singaporean breakfast.
Ooh, okay, sounds nice. So how do you make a Singaporean breakfast?
So you would have kaya toast, and a kaya is basically a type of coconut jam. Okay?
Sounds good.
And you would put it on a long piece of toast without crust.
Oh, okay.
And they'll put it between the two slices of bread and have some butter, and the butter would kind of be just like, it'll still be solid, but just melted enough. And then you bite into it. And on the side, it'll come with a soft-boiled egg.
Soft-boiled, so not a hard-boiled egg where it's been boiled till it's completely hard, but a soft-boiled egg where it's still liquid, still runny.
Yeah, it's a little runny, and the egg yolk isn't fully cooked, and the egg white has turned white, but it also isn't very solid. And what you do is you crack it into a little dish, a little plate, and you put some dark soy sauce. Okay, dark soy sauce. It's a bit different from the soy sauce we have here. Dark soy is a bit more bitter.
Okay.
And a little sweet, and some white pepper. And then you mix it all, you mix the egg, and then you have your kaya, and you dip it in there, and you eat it. So you have a little bit of sweet and savory.
Wow, sounds like an interesting combination. Sounds like something that I think I'd like to try.
I think you would like it.
Okay, well, when I go to Singapore, I'm gonna have to try it. And let's learn more about, more reasons why we should all go to Singapore.
Mixing old with new, Singapore's architecture is a huge part of the city's character. Raffles Hotel and the National Gallery Singapore provide a look into the city's past. Marina Bay Sands, on the other hand, shows the country's ultra-modern present. This impressive structure is made up of 3 towers joined at the top by an observation deck where you can enjoy great views across the city. Another must-see is the Gardens by the Bay. Here you can walk on raised platforms beside the famous super trees and visit the Flower Dome, the world's largest glass greenhouse.
Let's continue learning about our article, Singapore, Small Country, Big Adventure. So we know that Singapore is a city-state, and although it's small, there are still a lot of things to do, and it's a melting pot of different cultures.
That's right. So let's continue to learn about Singapore. Mixing old with new, Singapore's architecture is a huge part of the city's character. So we have the word architecture. Architecture is the designing and building or constructing of buildings. So when we talk about the architecture of a city, we're talking about how the buildings in that city look. So Singapore's architecture has a mix of old and new buildings.
That's right. And the architecture in Singapore is very unique because, again, you get to see all these different cultures in the architecture, which includes the colonial buildings, and even you have these Chinese shop houses and things like that. And that's all a huge part of Singapore.
That's great. So speaking of the colonial architecture, we have Raffles Hotel and the National Gallery Singapore provide a look into the city's past.
Marina Bay Sands, on the other hand, shows the country's ultra-modern present. So the word ultra-modern means that it's something from the present day, and it is super, super present day. So because the Marina Bay, for example, the Marina Bay Sands, it's this futuristic building. It's very big, but it shows how modern the country has become and how rich the country has become. So when something is ultra modern, it shows that something has followed the changes in time and things like that. And we also have the word bay. Bay is a noun, and it's basically a large part of the sea and where the land curves inwards. So where the sea comes in towards the land. And a part of Singapore, while Singapore is an island state, an island country, they have several bays where the ocean comes inland.
And this one being Marina Bay, right?
That's right. And an example sentence would be, they walked along the bay and enjoyed the smell of the ocean.
So let's continue with the article. This impressive structure is made up of 3 towers joined at the top by an observation deck where you can enjoy great views across the city. Okay, so I know I've seen this building before, and the observation deck on top kind of looks like a ship.
Yeah, it looks like a spaceship.
Yeah, so it's like a ship on top of these 3 large, very high towers. It's very impressive to look at. It's a very impressive structure. So a structure that's a noun, and it's something that has been built or constructed. So things like buildings or towers, things that stand up from the ground, are structures. So for example, Taipei 101 is a huge structure that can be seen from across the city.
Now, we also have the word tower, and that is a noun. And when we think about the word structure, sometimes we'll also think about tower because it has something to do with the building, right? So a tower is basically a tall structure or a tall building. And usually they're narrow, okay? So in the olden days, we have castles that have towers, and the tower would be the narrow part that sticks out of the whole building itself. So an example, Lisa walked up the stairs to the top of the tower. Let's get back to our article. Another must-see is the gardens by the bay. Here you can walk on raised platforms beside the famous super trees and visit the Flower Dome, the world's largest glass greenhouse.
Ooh, okay. So the largest glass greenhouse. So a greenhouse is another kind of structure, another kind of building, or a kind of like shaped like a house sometimes. It's a place for growing plants. So it's a kind of building that lets in the light from the sun, but keeps it warm so that the plants don't get too cold. And it can allow you to, grow plants from tropical countries in places where the weather is much colder, like in Canada. If you have a greenhouse, you can still grow tropical plants in your yard, in your greenhouse. Usually they're made of glass or plastic to allow the sun to come in. For example, my mom has a greenhouse in her garden so that she can grow those tropical plants. Okay, so that was some interesting stuff about Singapore, but we're going to learn a lot more when we come back after the break.
Hello， 大家好，我是 Hanny。新加坡是一个多元化的国家 ，Kiki 老师有用到文化大熔炉来描述，那我们就补充一下 ，melting pot 就可以指熔炉的意思喽。好，那么课文接着介绍了新加坡的建筑新旧融合，那么像这个 Raffles Hotel 来佛士酒店就是富有殖民时期特色的建筑哦。老师们这时候有用到一个形容词 colonial。Colonial 可以形容是殖民地的、殖民地时期风格的。好，那另一方面，这个滨海湾金沙酒店则是展示了新加坡非常现代化的现状。这座建筑由3座塔楼组成，那么顶部呢是由观景台连接起来，在那边可以欣赏到整个城市的美景。还有一个必看景点则是滨海湾花园，你可以走在这个天空树旁边高起的平台上来参观世界上最大的玻璃温室。好，来看单字 bay，bay 它表示湾或是海湾。那么 Kiki 老师在讲解时，他用到 inward 这个副词 inward，inward 可以表达向内的、向中心的。 下一个单字 structure， 它可以指建筑物、结构或是结构体。那么 tower 它表示塔或是塔楼。Greenhouse 则是指温室。那补充单字 ultra modern， 它可以形容是超现代的、极其现代化的。这时候 Kiki 老师他要用到 futuristic， 就是把 future 后面的 e 去掉，加上 istic， 可以形容未来的、未来感的，或者是极为新潮的。好，这边两个重点，我们进入文法时间。我们来看第一个重点是 on the other hand。表示另一方面，这个副词片语可以摆在句首或句中，用来表示跟前面叙述不同或是有对比的情况。例如 Ian is a quiet person. His sister, on the other hand, is lively and talkative. Ian 是个安静内向的人，另一方面，他妹妹则是活泼又健谈。好，第二个重点是 make up， 可以指组成、构成。我们要表达某事物由什么什么构成，或者是包含什么什么。来看主动用法就是组成部分加 make up 加整体。那被动用法就是整体加上 be made up of 再加组成部分。举例来说 ，numerous islands make up the country。也可以说 the country is made up of numerous islands。那个国家由许多岛屿组成。介绍课文中。
If you feel like shopping, head to the traditional shop houses of Haji Lane, which are filled with cool coffee shops and hip stores. Then take a trip to the hawker stands at Maxwell Food Center to sample the diverse tastes of the city. The chili crab and bak kut teh are influenced by foods across Asia, but stand out as unique Singaporean creations. So, come to Singapore if you want to experience delicious food, rich culture, and beautiful architecture. This tiny country proves that good things really do come in small packages.
Welcome back. So before the break, we were learning a little bit about the architecture of Singapore and how it combines old and new.
That's right. And as I mentioned, I talked a little bit about shop houses. So we're going to find out a little bit more when we continue the article. So if you feel like shopping, head to the traditional shop houses of Haji Lane, which are filled with cool coffee shops or kopitiams and hip stores. So this area of Haji Lane, it's kind of like a hipster area. So it's a lot of fun. It's really cool. And there's a lot of cool art and murals on the shop houses.
So if I hang out there, I'll be cool.
Yeah.
All right, that's where I'm headed. Then take a trip to the hawker stands at Maxwell Food Center to sample the diverse tastes of the city. The chili crab and bak kut teh are influenced by foods across Asia, but stand out as unique Singaporean creations. Okay, so while these foods I think can be found in other countries, they are, have been maybe changed a bit or adapted to the tastes in Singapore, and now they are considered Singaporean creations. So things that were created or made in Singapore.
That's right, like bak kut teh. Bak kut teh in Singapore is different from bak kut teh in Malaysia.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they're made differently because due to the ingredients that they were able to get in Singapore at the time, so they had to adapt, and that's why they have these Singaporean creations.
Very interesting.
So come to Singapore if you want to experience delicious food, rich culture, and beautiful architecture. This tiny country proves that good things really do come in small packages.
So we have another vocabulary word there, which is tiny. So tiny is an adjective that simply means very small. So very small, much smaller than other things. So when we talk about a tiny country, we're talking about some of the smallest countries in the world, just like Singapore is one of the smallest countries. So it would be considered not just a small country, but a tiny country. So for example, Matilda's brother is much taller than her. So she looks tiny when she stands next to him.
Well, today we've learned a little bit more about Singapore. I do have a what do you think question for you, Matt. Would you like to visit Singapore? What would you do there?
Yeah, I would really like to visit Singapore. I have actually visited before, but I know that, going again for January, that sounds like a lot of fun. And there's a lot of things that I could still experience and do that I still haven't done yet. Because, even though it's a tiny country, I think there's a lot of events there that go on throughout the year, and a lot of, as you mentioned, a lot of different holidays throughout the years. So I think that, even though I've been there before, there's still a lot of things to do, and I'd like to go have some more of the delicious food there because I can't get enough of that.
Yeah, it seems like although Singapore is small, every time you visit, there's always something else happening. All right, that is the end of our Singapore adventure. I'm happy that you have joined Matt and I, and we will see you guys next time.
Okay, goodbye.
接着我们要跟着课文前往哈芝巷的传统店屋，那边有许多酷炫的咖啡店，还有时尚的商店。Kiki 老师提到，那边是追求新潮的人会去的地方，有很多很酷的艺术，还有壁画。那老师说的 hipster。Hipster 可以指时髦客，追求新潮的人。还有提到 mural，mural 是指壁画。那下一站就来到这个麦士威熟食中心，在那边可以品尝到这座城市各式各样的美食，可能像海南鸡饭啊、肉骨茶等等。好，那么辣椒蟹和肉骨茶有受到亚洲各地美食的影响，可是却脱颖而出，成了独特的新加坡料理。课文最后就写到，如果你想要体验美食、丰富的文化和美丽的建筑，那就到新加坡吧。这个小国证明了好东西不一定要大。好，那么单字 tiny 就可以形容是很小的、微小的。那这边有一个重点，我们要进入文法时间。这边我们来学习 stand out， 做不及物用，可以表示容易被注意到，也可以指说在一群人事物当中，比其他的人事物引人注目、突出。那么后面常常会接介系词，像 from、among、as、against、in 等等，然后加名词。我们来看两个例句。Her pink suit made her stand out from the crowd. 她的粉红色套装使她在人群中格外出众。The white cottage stands out against the green grass. 那间白色小屋在绿色草地上格外的显眼。好，那以上是今天的讲解，同学别走开，马上回来哦。
Mixing old with new, Singapore's architecture is a huge part of the city's character. Raffles Hotel and the National Gallery Singapore provide a look into the city's past. Marina Bay Sands, on the other hand, shows the country's ultra-modern present. This impressive structure is made up of 3 towers joined at the top by an observation deck, where you can enjoy great views across the city. Another must-see is the Gardens by the Bay. Here you can walk on raised platforms beside the famous super trees and visit the Flower Dome, the world's largest glass greenhouse. If you feel like shopping, head to the traditional shophouses of Haji Lane, which are filled with cool coffee shops and hip stores. Then take a trip to the hawker stands at Maxwell Food Center to sample the diverse tastes of the city. The chili crab and bak kut teh are influenced by foods across Asia, but stand out as unique Singaporean creations. So, come to Singapore if you want to experience delicious food, rich culture, and beautiful architecture. This tiny country proves that good things really do come in small packages.
Hey, it's Kiwi on the street. I'm Kiki.
And I'm Winnie. BTW, it's time to work on some abbreviations.
Let's go make some new friends.
好，今天第一个 abbreviation 就是 JK.
J.K. Rowling or just kidding.
Oh.
Oh my god, 你抢走我要讲的。
Just kidding.
Just kidding.
Just kidding.
Just kidding. Just kill.
You can say the same one. 都一样. It's just kidding. Very good. Okay, J.K. Rowling, I like that. That's funny. Did you do your homework? FYI, I did my homework yesterday. This one's really hard. This is FYI, for your information.
Find your information.
Very close. Your information is good. Maybe another try? For your information. Very good.
For your information.
For your information.
Very good.
She's a natural.
All right. The last one is hard. ICYMI.
Can I have a hint?
Okay, so you have news from yesterday and you want to see it today, you still have a chance.
Oh, in case you miss it.
I'm not sure.
Not sure. Okay, it's in case you missed it.
In case you missed it.
Okay, this one is hard. This is in case you missed it. Yeah, 这个比较新. But anyway, good try. 我们今天学到了什么呢? These are today's abbreviations. Our first one is JK. Just kidding. Just kidding. You're a horrible singer. Just kidding. Then we have our second abbreviation, FYI. For your information. For your information. So if someone were to say, did you even do your homework? You would say, for your information, I did it last week. Then we have our final abbreviation, ICYMI. In case you missed it. In case you missed it. Here are today's headlines, in case you missed it. That's it for today's abbreviations. KiWi later.